All right, last one here then is I want to talk about what my first web design client gave me. And I remember when this happened, I was baffled. I couldn't believe it actually happened. Now, I hadn't been on Elance all that long, and I had timidly kind of submitted a few proposals, assuming no one was going to respond and that nothing would come of it. But lo and behold, I did. I had someone respond. And eventually they hired me at $25 an hour, which is insanely low for freelance web development, I now know. But it was more than I had ever made in my life. And it was like a bomb went off in my head. All the doubts, all the fears, all the sneaky little lies that I had told myself that kept me from putting myself out there, from actually going and doing this, they just evaporated in an instant. And once I finally saw that I can actually do this, everything changed. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. Imagine if that was you. How would that change your life? How much better would things be? Could you be someone who becomes that goal of a 6-figure freelancer? Now, I know all that sounds a little bit kind of hypey, pipe dreamy. Like, yeah, right. But consider this. By 2020, there will be 3.8 million independent contractors making $100,000 a year, according to a report from MBO Partners, which is a self-employed service provider. And they kind of study this kind of thing because it's their business. Now, in 2015, if you don't like projections, in 2015, there were already 2.9 million independent contractors doing exactly that, making $100,000 a year or more, which is about 16% of all independent contractors. So that's nearly 1 in 5. So you can say pipe dream, but what I think is, but a lot of people, if that's the case, a lot of people are on the pipe. Now, what I think is important here is how. What do those freelancers know that maybe you don't? Or what are they doing that maybe you're not? Well, as one, I can tell you it's a few things. But there are 2 things that are more important than any of the others. First is simply believing that you can do it. Now, I know, bust out the peace pipe and let's all talk about our feelings. But it's true. Not believing is where fear comes from. And it stops you from taking action. And nothing happens without action. And it's belief. That's what my first client gave me. And making a leap of faith is really the only way to get there. I want to reiterate that point. I had no context for putting myself out there as a freelancer and doing that. There was no step that I could do this. It was all completely a leap of faith. And I think that's at some level true for anybody. Maybe my kids who've seen me do it and, I can really just kind of walk them through everything. Maybe they'll have some more context for knowing how to do that kind of thing if they eventually want to. But for a lot of people, there's no way around it. You're going to have to make a leap of faith. You're going to have to try and get that first client. You're going to have to apply for that first job, knowing that you're going in blind, that you're going in dark. You're not going to get to a point where you feel comfortable doing it, where you feel confident doing it. You just have to do it despite the fact that you're terrified. That's what I had to do. And when you get that first client, you see they'll actually pay you money for your services and you can actually deliver on it. Like I said, it's like a bomb going off. It changes everything. It evaporates all the doubt and the fear, which is why I harp constantly on that being one of the first things that you do. That look to get clients sooner than you feel like you can, than you're comfortable with, because you'll always feel uncomfortable that first time. The second thing is realizing it's just a skill. It's like learning how to ride a while loop. The first time you'll probably crash your computer or crash your browser, but eventually you will figure it out. If you keep working at it, keep being persistent, keep trying to learn, you'll figure out how to do it. And what that means is that you can learn how to do it. The fact that it's a skill means it can be learned. You don't need to be a natural. I'm not. You don't need to sell your soul or any of that dramatic nonsense that people say. You just learn the skills, the simple things that matter, and then you do it. But it also means you can learn it, but it also means you have to learn it. You're not just going to be able to do it naturally. It's not just going to happen. 6 figures won't just fall in your lap. There's stuff to do and a right way to do it. And just like missing a semicolon in your code, some of the small details really matter. The things that might take you years to figure out on your own. Things that wouldn't immediately seem to matter to you do. But when it comes together, things take off. Anyway, like I say about learning how to write code, there's a hard way and an easy way to do this. There are people out there who've been through all of this, know all those little details, and will teach them to you. Or you can suffer through it on your own. But how much longer will it take? What things might you never learn? That will always limit your potential. That's something to consider when you're thinking about this. Now, if you want to do things the easy way, then I want to recommend that you check out the Guide to Becoming an Upwork Freelance Superstar in 2017 by Tim Holloway. Now, Tim is one of Upwork's top-rated freelancers and works full-time as a freelancer, so he knows this stuff. His course will show you everything you need to know, and again, right now I have a special discount link for you for that. So you can go to johnmorrisonline.com/Upwork class, that's all one word, Upwork class, to get that special link. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of Tim's students have said. So this is from Tajjar. It says, having gone through 80% of this course so far, what I'm really appreciating is that Tim is speaking from experience as opposed to running through a standard feature list or passing on any form of secondhand information. Although I have extensive professional work experience, I'm completely new to Upwork, so I love how effortless this course is making it to fill in the blanks between getting my experience to work on Upwork. I would say, for anyone considering this course, I would say go for it. Definitely worth every cent you'll spend. And then there's Stan who says, great and well-presented course. It lays out exactly what steps to take with clear examples. This helps me a lot on starting on Upwork. I definitely recommend it to people looking to start on Upwork. And from Akeisha, I'm new to Upwork. The course is really what I needed to get started. The examples were spot on. I look forward to landing my first client. So as you can see, if freelancing is something that you want to do, which for me, I always like to have a little bit of that element of freelancing. I have worked for people. I have my own courses, as you know. I do this sort of thing here. But I always like to have at least the option of knowing how to go in and get freelance clients if I need to, because these are bigger ticket type items. So if for some reason you need to make a good chunk of change, or you want to make a good chunk of change, and you know how to go in and get a client, get paid well for it, deliver, and then you don't have to necessarily do that constantly. Or if you do want to do that constantly, it's always good to know how to do this. You always have that option available if something falls apart. Maybe you're working for a company and you lose your job. Well, if you know how to freelance, that's not so scary. You're not necessarily going to freelance forever, but while you're applying at other places and going through the hiring process, you can also take a client or two, make a few $1,000s to tide you over until you're able to get a new job, if that's what you enjoy doing. Or if you're someone who's selling an application and maybe sales are down, well, you can always jump back and take a freelance client if you. So it's just always good to have that there and be able to do that. So if that's something that you want to add to your tool set, again, I recommend the course. Again, I have a discount link for you, johnmorrisonline.com/Upwork class. Again, yes, that's affiliate link. So you'll be supporting the show along with getting the discount. Again, I don't recommend every single course over on Udemy. There's plenty over there that I would not recommend. So the fact that I'm recommending this course, means that I've actually taken a look at it, what's said, what he goes through inside of it. And I just think that it's the thing that you need to get going over there. It's going to show you kind of, again, the fundamentals that you need to learn. All right. So again, johnmorrisonline.com/Upwork class. All right. That'll do it for this show. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you found some resources that'll help.